So what is it that you would like to say?
Can I phone a friend? When it comes to my mental health, I can be open and transparent about it. I definitely have my close friends and my inner circle whom I feel quite comfortable sharing my struggles, my challenges, as well as, my triumphs.
I have evolved from navigating it alone to being open and talking about it, especially to Black women.
I'm more vocal about my mental health, but towards people who I know care about me and who I care about.
I am not shy about telling people that I am not in a good headspace, but I don't really always like to tell people the details of that. I tend to save that for my art. I feel like my art is where my brain gets to throw up all of the really strange things that it creates.
My mental health has definitely affected how I view parenting. It's mostly affected how I view my desire to be a parent.
My mental health has played a big part of my parenting because I realized that we're not supposed to do this shit alone.
I think my capacity is affected by my mental health because my mental health is affected by the fact that I live in a society that is disgustingly dedicated to upholding white supremacy.
I've had to face the fact that I do get overwhelmed. I'm a single mom right now. I co-parent with my ex. But the last few years have been hard as I've had to pivot my business as a Black woman. And in the present day, all my contracts drying up, it's taken a toll on my own ability to essentially care for myself, let alone my child.
I had for years this view of parenting in the form of what not to do. It wasn't until much later in my parenting journey that I realized you have to emphasize what you should and want to do as well. You can't just live from a place of fear. And once I let go to a certain extent of fear, I was able to parent with more joy.
And so my mental health, I'm stressed. I'm worried. I've got a queer kid, trans kid, in a time in which they're taking that away and they're only 11. I also know talking with them is important so that they know that it's okay for them to express their own kind of emotions. And so we talk about emotions a lot.
It's made it all the more important for me to learn how to communicate these things to these little people so that they also understand and they can also communicate with me when they're having a bad day, when they need some alone time, when they're overstimulated. Currently, I am not medicated. I have definitely thought about it, and I'm not opposed to it. In fact, I've seen it be very effective for some of my peers and friends who have chosen that as their preferred support.
For everyone who can't tell, I am not medicated.
I'm not really interested in it, even though a good friend of mine suggested it may help for just getting through all of this mess we call society.
I don't want any unnatural substances in my body.
I have a lot of concerns around documenting my mental health and the things that I deal with. I just have a hard time talking about them with doctors. I don't trust doctors. I don't like doctors.
I'm not medicated now. I don't feel like going to the doctor because I gotta actually pay for that, so everything costs something.
For me, I'm super curious and interested, excited, and enlivened to just experience life as is.
I prefer things like yoga and movement, dance.
So I always say, I do not do drugs. I smoke weed.
I do smoke weed. I do take microdose shrooms, and that allows me to just calm the mind down enough so that I can gain some clarity.
To each their own, and if you feel that you need prescription medication in order to feel like you're okay, you're normal, you can cope, then you do what's best for you.
Yes, I've experienced depression. Who the hell wouldn't, especially in this climate, right?
Yes, who hasn't? how can you get through life without experiencing depression? I feel like it's something you can't run from, you can't hide from. I personally don't want to medicate it.
Have I experienced depression? Yeah, she's in the room with us right now.
I have experienced depression, and I do experience depression from time to time.
I've experienced depression since I was 14 years old, and I'm 27 now. So for the past 13 years, if I could speak to depression as a person, I would definitely, my first reaction I feel like would be to tell them to get the fuck away from me. Why the fuck are you here?
I look her square in the eyes and say, bitch, what's good? The fuck? What are you gonna do? Because no matter how big and strong you think you are, I'm bigger. I'm stronger. You will never fucking win. I got this. Fuck you mean?
If depression were a person, I would open the door and say hello and ask, what brings you here today?
Have it sit at the table with me and be like, girl, I get it, but what are we going to do with it? Because the emotions are supposed to move us somewhere and something. So what is my depression saying to me? Depression has its place, right? Alongside joy. Nothing is permanent as long as we work with it.
When I feel like there is nothing left, like I have no hope, I have no desire to be, I always turn to dance.
When all hope feels lost, I turn to, right now, very close friends, but also I got to turn to my anger. I got to find a way to break through the hope, and for me, it's my fire.
The faith that's in my DNA, the faith that was passed down to me from my mother, her mother, her mother's mother, her mother's mother's mother.
I know it might sound cliche, but when all hope feels lost, I turn to my spirits.
Dance has picked me up out of the worst and darkest places I've ever been in my life, and invited me back to the world.
Yeah, I've wanted to just kind of end it all because it's overwhelming. I built a whole life, a whole career. I had houses, I really built my name up, and then it all came crashing down.
And in those times, I've really had to go to my ancestors and my guiding spirits and, just find myself at the crossroads or at the water or in the woods or at my altar, just praying and asking for help and asking for support.
Hope can get lost very quickly, navigating this current terrain. But then I tell myself that I refuse to give my life up to that war god and up to the state.
I think movement and moving my body makes me remember how much I enjoy being a person.
So anger and spite sometimes is what I do have to turn to cope. And from there, the fire burns away to give some clarity about what is possible, what comes next.
At the end of the day, I'm nothing more than a grain of sand on one of the many beaches on this planet in the universe that's too vast for me to ever comprehend. So who am I to feel lost? I'm found, yet I'm lost, and that's okay. We don't have to have all the answers. We're just a grain of sand. Be the best, most beautiful grain of sand that you can be.